Hey y'all. Okay, this is the fourth time I have recorded this episode, and I don't do takes, like I just record it in one shot. But the first time the microphone didn't work. The second time I had a double fail. I recorded it like a 22-minute podcast on Zoom and on my podcast platform at the same time because I was like, all right, not doing that again. And it didn't work. The microphone didn't work again. So this time I know it's working. And I decided the universe was giving me a sign, or God was giving me a sign that I needed to switch it up. So I was going to talk about taking action. Maybe I'll record that and we'll do it next week. But instead, I decided to talk about something that has been affecting my energy lately. No, it's not hormones, although that has been affecting my energy lately. If you are in your mid 40s, you know what I mean. Can I have an amen? So we're not talking about hormones. We're talking about something that really affects your energy. So this is how you move through your life and how you see other people, how you see their success, and how you compare it to your own, and all this stuff about the story in your head. So I'm going to try to like give y'all a good example without, I mean, I don't think this person listens to my podcast, but I never want anybody to figure out like who I'm talking about. So if I ever do talk about clients, I'll change details, or I may say last week I was talking to a client when really it was last year or last month. So anyway, there's all my secrets right there. But anyway, I recorded a podcast and then I went for a walk with the dog after I realized it did not work. And I feel this like inner tug. So, first of all, pay attention to those inner tugs because I do believe they may be your subconscious, they may be God, they may be your inner wise person. Who knows? But they are there for a reason. They are signs. And I have learned that if you ignore the little whisper that you hear, it gets louder. And then it gets louder, and then outside forces are brought in. Like that's when you trip and fall in the middle of the street and you fracture your kneecap, and then you are laid up in bed to think about it for the next month. Um, so anyway, here's what happened. I found myself in a bad headspace, and it was related to somebody else who does something similar to what I do. We'll just say she's a writer. And I'm writing a book, and so I have all this insecurity and like uncertainty, and I'm like, what if I fail? What if this? In fact, this was front and center yesterday because I met with my editor, and before we meet, I start seeing all these little emails come through with comments on our shared Google Doc. And I felt like I was going to throw up. Like I just did not want to see any feedback, even if it sometimes she'll say, like, love this, or this sentence is really amazing, or good point. And I didn't want to see any of it. I didn't want any feedback, even though I'm paying her to give me feedback. So I was already sort of in that headspace. And then I see this other person is doing something that I would like to be doing. And I can't stop thinking about it. And my mind is weaving this spider web story of, well, if this is happening, well, this means this, and then that means this. And, I get all out of sorts with it. And it sits on my mind. So even though I think I'm over it and I'm doing something completely different, I'm cooking breakfast or I'm going for a jog or whatever, it is in the background. So pay attention to whatever is in the background. Martha Beck calls this walking back the cat. So if you've become adept at noticing when something feels off, then you may pause and think, okay, well, what is off? I just don't feel right. Something is off. What is it? And so she calls it walking back the cat. And this comes from British espionage. And what they would do is when something went wrong in an operation, they would, not an operation like a surgery, but like an espionage operation, they would go back step by step, like second by second, to try to figure out where it went wrong. So that's what I did in my day. So I went backwards and I was like, okay, well, I'm applying for this course I want to take. And they did ask for an application and they ask a lot of hard questions like, why do you want to do this? We're only choosing 12 people. So there was already a lot of thoughts of like, am I good enough? So I think that was probably the background part of it. Um, and then this thing is just weighing on me. So I was able to identify what it was. And then I asked myself, okay, well, what is the story in my head? The story in my head, and at first I wanted to talk all about her. The story in my head is she's a you know what, and she is not very good at blah, 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 and she's cheating, and she's, like whatever, like all this stuff, everything nasty I could think to say. And but then if you turn it around and you say, what am I making it mean about me? Because a lot of times the thing we dislike the most in somebody else, or the thing that we are the most jealous of, the thing that irks us the most about somebody, our nemesis, is the very thing that we possess that needs to be worked on. In other words, people will be put in your life to teach you lessons, not lessons about them, lessons about you, things that you need to learn, accept, possibly change about your own dang self. So in this case, I was like, all right, what am I making it mean about me? Well, I guess I'm making it mean I'm not good enough. Like if I really boil it down, there's a fear, and it's a fear that I'm not good enough, that I won't be able to publish a book, or that I won't be able to succeed doing whatever, public speaking or even podcasting. Um, and so then I feel really bad about myself. So I turn it around and lash out at other people who are doing it, at least in my mind, who are doing it. And it affected my energy big time. So then I tried to write, and I had a plan. I was going to spend 2 to 3 hours writing, starting on a new chapter, writing. I had my outline. I know what I'm supposed to write. And it just affected everything. Like I did not want to be sitting there, and I had this background thought, shadow lurking behind me, and I just couldn't shake it. So then that's when I was like, I'm going to record a podcast on something totally unrelated. And then it completely flopped. So, lessons behind this: pay attention to your energy. If it is off, out of whack, negative, figure out what it is. Like walk back the cat, like think about it. What was it? What is the thought in your head about the other person? Or, and most importantly, what is the thought in your head about you? I have a client and she has a problem with one of her colleagues. And we have spent so many sessions talking about this colleague. And she has to work through it. I know that. And I'm patient with her. And, she wants to be seen and heard and get her point out. But yeah, at some point I have asked her, like, what are you making it mean about you? Like, let's stop talking about Susan or whatever her name is, Kelly. Um, that's not her real name, y'all. Anyway, let's stop talking about this person. Let's talk about you instead. And it's funny because, here I am facing the same thing. So let me see if there was anything else I wanted to say about that. I try not to write my podcast episodes because I don't want to read them, but I also like to like jot down an outline. And then y'all, I found my middle school journal. It is right here if you can see this on YouTube. And I had a nemesis back then, and it was all about grades. It had nothing to do with like girl drama. This was all about grades. And so I flipped through and I was trying to find, like, because I know I talked about her a lot, and she probably didn't even know that I like existed. Yeah, what did I say about her? Anyway, I was always like, I can't stand her. And I'd talk about her hair and I'd talk about like her hair has anything to do with like how successful she is or her grades. Um, yeah, I said, I hate her and her nerdy self. I can't wait until I go to college and start my own life. Like this girl is ruining my life. And I have not talked to her since middle school. And it's just funny that that was such a big deal back then. And like every third page of my journal is filled with stuff about her that has no significance. So that's the other thing. I've told y'all my son will periodically say when I'm all worked up about something, Mom, is this going to matter in 2 years? Is this going to matter in 2 years? If the answer is no, you are wasting valuable energy on it. And everybody can feel your energy, and it is going to change how you move through the world, whether you are successful or not. If I wrote this book, if I succeeded in doing it with that kind of energy, I can guarantee you people would not want to read it. It would be a flop and I wouldn't be proud of it. And so it's very important to notice that energy when you feel off and then to figure out what's causing it. Ask yourself, is this a pattern that repeats itself? Like my client that can't let go of this coworker of hers. And like me with that girl I went to middle school with that I was jealous of, is this a pattern that repeats itself? What is the lesson that you are still not learning? And then this is a tool to help you get over it. So it's called loving kindness meditation. And instead of just sitting quietly and trying to focus on your breath, you say, you picture this person. And if you really, really can't stand them, you could start with somebody you like or at least a neutral person. And you just say, may they have peace, may they have joy, may they have wellness. And that's it. And you try to mean it in your heart and like send them light and energy and well wishes. There's another method called EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, and it's people call it tapping. And so this is where you can Google it, watch a YouTube video on the places to tap. But like this is one above your eyebrow. Let's see, there's one above your upper lip. And basically, you just kind of tap, tap, tap. And then you're going to say to yourself, even though and you say whatever it is that you're hung up on, even though I am insanely jealous of, this skinny lady or whatever, even though I'm insanely jealous of this lady in her bathing suit, or even though I'm insanely jealous of this other writer, even though I think I'm going to fail, I wish myself peace and joy. Like, no, what is it? Even though yeah, sorry. Even though, and then you fill in the blank with whatever it is you're getting hung up on, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And you just do that over and over with every single thought. And you can do it with worries. Even though I'm worried sick, I won't know what to write today. Even though I am terrified that um, terrified of putting myself out there. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And this, I mean, people all over the world do this, so it must work. I've done it like in the car driving down the road. It really does help because you are releasing, you're saying what it is you're worried about. You're tapping on these pressure points. So there's something about that. And then you release it by saying, I love and I completely and deeply love and accept myself. And when you hear those words come out of your mouth, it has a pretty big impact on you. I mean, you are accepting and loving yourself. And then the last tool, if those first two don't resonate with you, this one's easy. It's from ACT therapy. And it's pretty simple. You just say, I am having the thought that, and then you say whatever it is. Like you could say, I'm having the thought that I hate my job and I want to leave. I'm having the thought, and you say it 3 times out loud. I'm having the thought that I hate my job and I want to leave. And then you say 3 times, "I notice I'm having the thought," and then you repeat it. So, "I notice I'm having the thought, I hate my job and I wanna leave. I notice I'm having the thought, I hate my job and I wanna leave." And by doing it 3 times the first way and 3 times the second way, I don't know if you could tell a difference when I was saying it may work better when you say it, but by noticing, adding the word "I notice," it puts you back in the driver's seat of your life. You are the one in charge of your energy. You are the one noticing your thoughts. Now you can't it's not as easy to just change your thought. I couldn't just pluck out the thoughts about this other lady. Um, but I did the I notice I'm having the thought, and it separated me from my thoughts. So yeah, they're there, but I'm not gonna let them embody me, if that makes sense. Um, so anyway, I hope that's helpful. If you are hung up on something, whether it's a boss you can't stand, a coworker, somebody in your family that you're hung up on, like this is an episode to kind of save and repeat. And I need it too. So it's helped me out. Thanks for listening, and I will catch y'all next week.